Constitution of the United States and Bill of Rights by Founding Fathers. Publisher's Introduction. The United States Constitution stands as one of the most revolutionary documents ever written. In just over 4,400 words, it laid the foundation for a form of government that would inspire nations across the globe and stand the test of time for over 2 centuries. Yet for many modern readers, especially young Americans, the Constitution's 18th century language can feel like a barrier to understanding this crucial text. The story of the Constitution begins in a moment of crisis. In 1787, the young United States was faltering under the weak Articles of Confederation. The states acted more like independent countries than a unified nation. Trading disputes threatened economic stability, and the federal government lacked the power to address mounting challenges. Against this backdrop, delegates from 12 states gathered in Philadelphia with the monumental task of reimagining American government. What emerged from that sweltering summer of debate was nothing short of remarkable. The Constitution created a system of checks and balances between 3 branches of government, established a federal structure that balanced state and national powers, and outlined fundamental rights and responsibilities. Perhaps most importantly, it created a framework flexible enough to adapt to changing times while maintaining core democratic principles. The document's endurance is a testament to its wisdom, but its language reflects its era. The delegates wrote in the formal, complex style of late 18th century legal and political discourse. Words like thereof, herein, and whereof pepper the text. Sentences stretch for lines with multiple clauses and qualifications. While this style served its original purpose admirably, it can present challenges for contemporary readers trying to engage with their nation's founding document. This is where modernizing the language becomes crucial. By updating the Constitution's English while preserving its meaning as much as possible, we remove an unnecessary barrier between citizens and their fundamental law. A more accessible Constitution helps young Americans understand their rights and responsibilities as citizens. It allows students to focus on the ideas rather than struggling with antiquated phrases. It helps new Americans engage more directly with the principles of their adopted nation. This modernization is not about changing the Constitution's meaning, quite the opposite. By carefully translating 18th century English into contemporary language, we aim to reveal the document's meaning more clearly to modern readers. Think of it as removing a layer of linguistic fog while keeping the landscape exactly as it was. The process requires meticulous attention to detail and deep respect for the original text. Each word choice matters because the Constitution's precise language has been interpreted and reinterpreted by courts for generations. This modern English version maintains that precision while making the text more approachable. With that being said, please refer to the original text too. As you read this updated Constitution, you'll find the same profound ideas that have guided American democracy for centuries, but expressed in language that speaks more directly to our time. The principles of popular sovereignty, limited government, individual rights, and the rule of law shine through more clearly when not obscured by archaic language. This modernization comes at a crucial time, in an era of increasing civic disengagement, especially among young Americans. Making the Constitution more accessible has never been more important. Understanding this document is not just an academic exercise, it's essential to participating meaningfully in American democracy. The Constitution begins with "We the people" for a reason. It was written not for lawyers or scholars alone, but for all Americans. By presenting it in modern English, we honor that democratic spirit and invite every citizen to engage more deeply with the remarkable document that continues to shape our nation. The Constitution of the United States. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure peace at home, provide for our common defense, promote the well-being of everyone, and protect the blessings of freedom for ourselves and future generations. Do hereby establish this Constitution for the United States of America. The Constitutional Convention. Article 1, Section 1, Congress. All the lawmaking powers mentioned here are given to the United States Congress, which is made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives. Section 2, the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives will be made up of members elected every 2 years by the people of the different states. The voters in each state must meet the same qualifications required for voters of the largest branch of the state legislature. No one can be a representative unless they are at least 25 years old, have been a U.S. citizen for 7 years, and, when elected, live in the state they are chosen to represent. Representatives in direct taxes will be divided among the states in this union based on their populations. This population count will include all free people, those working under a contract for a set number of years, and exclude non-taxed Native Americans. Additionally, it will count 3/5 of all other people. The actual counting, or census, will happen within 3 years after the first meeting of the U.S. Congress, and then every 10 years after that, as directed by law. The number of representatives won't be more than one for every 30,000 people, but each state will have at least one representative. Until this count is done, New Hampshire will have 3 representatives, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence Plantations 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. When there are openings in the representation from any state, the executive authority of that state will issue election writs to fill those vacancies. The House of Representatives will choose their Speaker and other officers, and they have the exclusive power to impeach. Section 3. The Senate. The United States Senate will have 2 senators from each state chosen by the state's legislature, serving for 6 years. Each senator gets 1 vote. Right after they come together following the first election, they'll be split into 3 groups as evenly as possible. The seats of the senators in the first group will be up for grabs at the end of the second year, the second group's seats at the end of the 4th year, and the third group's seats at the end of the 6th year. This way, 1/3 of the seats can be filled every 2 years. If any spots open up because of resignations or other reasons while the state legislature is on break, the state's executive can make temporary appointments until the legislature meets again to fill those vacancies. No one can be a senator unless they are at least 30 years old, have been a U.S. citizen for 9 years, and are living in the state they want to represent when elected. The Vice President of the United States will be the President of the Senate, but won't have a vote unless there's a tie. The Senate will choose their other officers and also a temporary president when the Vice President is absent or when the Vice President is acting as the President of the United States. The Senate has the exclusive authority to handle all impeachment trials. When they are conducting these trials, they must be under oath or affirmation. If the President of the United States is on trial, the Chief Justice will lead the proceedings. No one can be convicted unless